Thomas Jefferson was truly a mastermind in his day, and frankly, I don't think that people nowadays know enough about him. He's the mastermind behind many of the things that we use sometimes. Few people realize this. Many historians might debate, but Thomas Jefferson was the first volunteer firefighter ever volunteered. In order to give you more bearings on what volunteer firefighters do, what Thomas Jefferson set up for the whole scheme of being a volunteer firefighter, I've decided to go and visit a career day at a local middle school and listen to the firefighter there. Hey kids, I am a firefighter, and I am proud to be a firefighter. Now, in my job, fighting fire, it's kind of a life or death situation. You could go into work one day and come out of work not living. It's a fairly common thing. Typically when you think of firefighters, you might think of putting out buildings, but we put out much more than just fires in buildings. We put out cars, electronic bikes, various other things if they happen to catch on fire. If a field catches on fire, then we would probably put that out. That hasn't happened so far in my career, but I'm sure we would be the ones who go to put it out. We are the only people competent enough to do that. So any sort of fire that comes along. If a Panzer comes rolling down the road and some policemen come and light it on fire, and once all the people inside are dead, we'll come and we'll put that out, because we'll put out any fire anywhere. Also, with the fire department, we're not just concerned about putting out fires after the fact, we're also very involved in preventing fires. That's one thing I'm here to talk to you about, is anytime you see a fire going on that might be hazardous, be sure to put it out. If you're walking down the sidewalk smoking a cigarette, or you see some gangster kids walking down the sidewalk, they're smoking pot, and throw it down the field or some grass, why don't you go up to them and before they beat you up and possibly kill you, why don't you just remind them that this is a city community and a community of the world, and ask that they properly dispose of their fire. One question we get a lot is, what do we do if the fire station catches on fire? Well, there are certain geological places on Earth. Like when God made the world and He gave man the gift of fire, the chemical phenomena of said prominence, He knew that man was probably going to be kind of stupid and foolish so He figured man might eventually one day light the entire world on fire. So, seeing this probably happening, He left certain like air spaces of the Earth, starting from the core and building up. There are certain geological locations on the Earth that will not catch on fire, where humans, if the world catches on fire, may seek refuge. Now, fire stations are built on these specific locations, and they are each 30-meter by 30-meter areas. Of course, that varies with elevation. As it gets higher, the amount of space gets larger because of the whole sphere thing. The way the city tests for that to know whether or not it is one of those locations is they will light a small fire in the area that they're considering making a fire department in. Like, they'll light fires all around in each of their lots for sale, and whichever one doesn't get completely burned away, they purchase. Like, the one that doesn't get completely ruined or spread to destroy the other lots is purchased. So that's the area for the fire department. Now, a lot of people don't believe me on this fact that fires cannot exist in a fire department, but there's numerous evidence that proves my point. Such as firefighters will never smoke in a fire department. It's true, because you're standing outside the fire department, strike up a cigarette, smoking it, walk into the fire department, whoa, you know, it's not lit anymore, because fire cannot exist in a fire department. It just doesn't happen. So in a way, there were some firefighters who were heavy smokers who suffered due to this. In the long run, you could say that it helped them because they stopped smoking. In the short run, you could say that it didn't help them because they committed suicide. But generally, you get used to it. You get enough smoke from the fires, you don't need to smoke in the fire department. But some people will ask where our funding comes from for the fire department, like how much of the city's tax goes towards us. Well, the truth is, none of it does. It's all a big scheme, a big scam. It's just a big cover-up. All of our funding comes from our spring bake-offs and concerts and events that are held at the fire department and at our various fire department locations. So please be sure to come to all of our events, because if you don't come to our events and we lose our funding, well, then there's no fire department. And if there's no fire department, then, well, you don't want to lose your home, do you? You don't want your home to catch on fire, do you? Because that could happen if you don't come to all of our events. You'd be surprised at the chances of unarsonistic fires occurring for no apparent reason. Was a spontaneous combustion. It's a real thing. Firefighters are also very, very intelligent. You go to any firefighter, ask him any fact about the world, and he'll tell you. Now, I'm kind of the excluded variable from all this. In the fire department, you generally have, you know, all the brilliant guys, all of the brave guys, all of the strangely arsonistic yet still volunteering guys, and then the handsome guy. I could be considered to be the jack of all trades, but mainly going into this category of a handsome, that is. Strange as it may seem, firefighters, we don't really like going into fires. We prefer not to as much as possible, unless we're saving a life, because there's no greater joy than saving a life. Especially if it's a man, we usually just leave them there, you know. If it's a woman under the age of 40, sometimes 30, you know, if they're over that age, they don't really have very long to live, happily anyway. So if they're under the age of maybe 35, we'll rescue them. We save their lives. They're kind of in debt to us. If they're ugly, I mean, you know, sometimes their face is all burned. You can't tell if they're ugly or not. So we just if their face is burned, then we leave them. If they get out and they do try to repay us, and certain parts of their body are burned, we may just leave them. Like, we might just throw them back. Not out of hate or anything, not out of prejudice, just because that might be kind of uncomfortable to live with for the next few months. I could think of firefighters as being kind of like the soldiers. The soldiers against the chemical reactant menace. Firefighters are the soldiers to the terrorists' fire. We are the virus to the computer's fire. Fire is the economic downfall, and I am the senator. Fighting fire was always a dream of mine. Growing up as a kid, I always had a fond liking of fire, mainly with putting out. Any time a flame was going on, mother was cooking on the gas stove, I put it out. Actually, my little brother died because I did that, and the gas kept coming through when my mother was leaving something cooking on the stove, and so the fumes. Anyway, that was never proven. But as a firefighter, I say there are certain risks involved. If you get into a fire and you're there too long, like somebody has been siphoning your oxygen tank, then you're kind of you're in some trouble. You know, at that point, you just kind of jump out a window, hope everything's going for the best. I mean, I've never done that. Just people who I siphoned oxygen off of, they jumped out windows. It didn't end too well. I mean, they never sued me or anything because, well, they died. But it is kind of risky business. You know, you wouldn't understand. It's just such an unusually risky business. So I'm proud to be a firefighter, because being a firefighter is one of the most rewarding things in my life. I guess it's not really a career because I volunteer to do it, and it kind of sucks and because we don't get paid. Actually, do we get paid? I don't know if we get paid. We might get paid. I've only been a firefighter for a couple days. Some of the advantages of it are you get sunglasses and you get to always wear the sunglasses. The sunglasses are they're painfully attached to your face on your first day, and when you're removed from being a firefighter, what people usually blow off as burn marks are actually the scars from removing the sunglasses. It's a very painful process to attach and remove. It's awful. You never want to do it. Being a firefighter sucks and fucks. Always remember, firefighters are the good guys. We get rid of your menace. People usually think of fire as being a really good thing because without fire, you know, a lot of food wouldn't be edible. But fire is actually the most evil thing you will ever encounter in your life. It's awful. It is evil. It is a menace. It is atrociously, repulsively awful. Okay, get rid of all fire. Never do anything that might result in some outbreak of any sort of flame, spark, fire, electricity. Go live under a rock, in a wet rock. Like a really, really wet rock. Go live in the ocean. You won't drown, I guarantee you. Just go live in the ocean, because you won't burn. You will not burn. So don't ever get near any fire at all in your... What? Hold on a second. What? Like... I guess that's true. Yeah, I get where you're... Okay, I got you. Okay, kids, forget that last series of statements. Fire is good, okay? It's your best friend. Love it, cherish it, hold it, caress it, make love with it. Fire is great. Fire is the greatest thing in the world. Okay, you, stop, okay? It's good. It is good. Don't... I said forget what I just said. No, shut up. Shut that kid up. Thank you. Thank you very much. You're gonna get hit again, you little f***er. But it's wonderful. I want you to go home right now and start as many fires as you can. And go around town. Fire's great. Start as many fires as you possibly can, except for on any government buildings. Okay? We'll just leave those alone. But start burning down every other building there is. Try not to get caught. But we don't want you being sent to juvenile because then tax dollars will go towards your care. But start as many fires as you can. Now, as firefighters, we are not bad because we put out fire. Fire actually wants to be put out. Like, fire wants to spread and multiply everywhere, but they get some sort of a strange sexual arousement, sexual pleasure from us putting it out. It's a strange thing, but we're actually good for the fire. So start as many fires as you can, and we will show up and finish it off. And that covers everything. I think I just got some firefighters some more work. Hopefully. Got any beer? I don't care if it's school. These kids are high right now. Look at this girl. Look at. Okay. You don't. I just want some Fosters, man. Fosters, Australian for beer. Even though no one in Australia drinks Fosters. It's kind of a misconception. Fosters. There you go. Now you know one more thing about the charismatic caper, Thomas Jefferson. In the words of the genius, Thomas Jefferson, I cannot live without bitches. TJ, T-Jeff, Tommy Jefferson, TJ Jefferson, TJ Jeff, TJ Jefferson, Thomas J Folk, T to the J, T to the hizzo, O to the mizzo, A to the sizzo, J to the izzo, F to the fizzo, E to the rizzo, S to the oizo, into the to the swirlo. Yeah, Thomas Jefferson, third president.
Booyah!